The massive arena stretched out like a metal canyon under the purple sky of Vexthal. 200,000 alien voices created a sound like thunder as they filled every seat, every platform, every floating box that hung in the air around the fighting pit. The noise was so loud it made the ground shake. Maya Rodriguez stood in the center of it all, looking very small. She was human, which made her strange here. Most of the creatures watching her had never seen a human before. Some had 4 arms. Others had scales that changed color, and many had eyes that glowed in the dim light. They all wanted to see her fight. They all wanted to see her lose. She wore simple leather armor that covered her chest and arms. In her hands she held 2 short swords that looked tiny compared to the weapons her enemy carried. Her dark hair was tied back, and sweat ran down her face despite the cool air. She had been fighting in this arena for 3 months now. 7 fights, 7 wins. But everyone knew this fight would be different. Across from her stood Kethver, the Destroyer. He was twice her height and 3 times her weight. His skin was dark green and covered in thick scales that looked like armor. 4 arms grew from his massive body, each one holding a different weapon. A warhammer in one hand, a curved blade in another, a spiked mace in the third, and a net in the fourth. His yellow eyes looked at Maya like she was already dead. Crowd loved Kethver. He had won 12 fights in a row. Each time, he had killed his opponent in a different way. The alien spectators cheered his name over and over. Their voices made strange sounds that hurt Maya's ears. In the royal box high above the arena, Emperor Vexnash watched with interest. He was old for a Chronari, his blue skin marked with lines of age. Next to him sat Dr. Zephyrim, a scientist who had been studying Maya since she arrived. The doctor held a small device that recorded everything Maya did. "The human looks afraid," the Emperor said. His voice was like grinding stone. "She should be," Dr. Zephyrim replied. "My tests show that humans are weak. Their bones break easily. Their muscles are small. They cannot see well in low light. I do not understand how she has won 7 fights." The Emperor smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Perhaps she has been lucky. Luck always runs out." Down in the arena, a horn sounded. The fight was about to begin. Maya took a deep breath and raised her swords. She had learned many things in her 3 months here. She learned that aliens like to watch death. She learned that they thought humans were nothing more than animals. She learned that they enjoyed making her fight creatures that should have killed her easily. But she had also learned something else, something they did not know about humans, something that might save her life today. Kethver moved first. For something so big, he was fast. His warhammer came down where Maya had been standing, but she was already gone. She rolled to the side as the hammer smashed into the ground, leaving a crater in the metal floor. The crowd cheered. They liked it when fighters moved quickly. Maya came up from her roll and slashed at Kethver's leg with both swords. The blades scraped against his scales but did not cut deep. He swung his curved sword at her head. She ducked, and the blade passed over her with a whistle. For the first few minutes, the fight looked even. Maya was faster, but Kethver was stronger. She could dodge his attacks, but her weapons could barely hurt him. The crowd grew excited as the 2 fighters moved around each other like dancers. Maya's plan was simple. Stay alive long enough for Kethver to get tired. Use her speed to avoid his weapons. Look for weak spots in his armor. It was the same plan that had worked in her other fights, but Kethver was not like her other opponents. He did not get tired. Quickly, his 4 arms meant he could attack from different directions at the same time. And he was smart. After a few minutes, he stopped trying to hit Maya directly. Instead, he began to trap her. The net flew from his 4th hand while Maya was dodging the mace. She saw it coming and tried to jump away, but the net was large and Kethver had thrown it well. The weighted edges wrapped around her legs and she fell hard onto the arena floor. The crowd roared with approval. This was what they had come to see. Maya tried to cut through the net with her swords, but Kethver was already moving. His warhammer rose high above his head. Maya rolled desperately to the side. The hammer came down and smashed the ground where she had been a second before. She was still tangled in the net. Kethver raised his mace. Maya managed to cut one of her legs free and kicked at his knee. The kick connected and Kethver stumbled, but it only made him angry. "Stay still, little animal," he growled in his rough voice. "Make this easy." Maya did not answer. She was too busy trying to stay alive. She cut through more of the net and rolled away from another hammer blow, but she was getting slower. The net had hurt her leg when she fell. Her breathing was becoming hard. Kethver seemed to know she was weakening. He began to move faster, pressing his attack. His 4 weapons came at Maya from every direction. She blocked what she could and dodged the rest, but it was not enough. The mace caught her in the side. Maya felt her ribs crack as she flew through the air. She hit the arena wall hard and fell to the ground. Blood ran from her mouth and her vision went dark for a moment. The crowd was on its feet now, screaming with joy. In the royal box, Emperor Vexinash leaned forward with interest. Dr. Zephyrim made notes on his device. Maya tried to stand, but her legs would not work. Everything hurt. She could taste blood, and her left arm hung at a wrong angle. Kethver walked toward her slowly, enjoying the moment. "This is what happens to animals who think they can fight real warriors," he said loudly so the crowd could hear. They cheered even louder. Maya lay still on the ground. Her eyes were closed and blood pooled around her head. She looked broken. She looked dead. The crowd began to chant Kethver's name. Kethver raised all 4 weapons above his head in victory. The announcer began to speak in the Kronari language, declaring the fight over. Guards moved toward the arena floor to collect Maya's body. The noise was incredible. 200,000 aliens celebrating the death of the small human who had entertained them for 3 months. It was the loudest sound Maya had ever heard. She lay there and listened to it for exactly 15 seconds. Then her eyes opened. They were different now. Before, her eyes had been brown and tired. Now they burned with something new. Something the aliens had never seen before in any creature. It was not fear. It was not pain. It was something much more dangerous. Maya stood up. Her movements were smooth despite her injuries. The crowd began to quiet as they realized she was not dead. Kethver turned around, confusion on his scaled face. When Maya spoke, her voice carried across the silent arena clearly. Every alien heard her words. Round 2. The sound that came from the crowd was not cheering anymore. It was something else. Something worried. Something that might have been fear. The arena fell completely silent. 200,000 aliens stared at the small human who should have been dead. Maya Rodriguez stood in the center of the fighting pit, blood running down her face, her left arm hanging wrong, but her eyes burning with something terrible. Kethver the Destroyer looked confused. In 12 fights, no opponent had ever gotten up after one of his finishing blows. The war hammer strike should have killed her. At the very least, it should have broken her back. But here she was, standing and talking about round 2. Impossible, Kethver said. His forearms still held his weapons, but uncertainty crept into his voice. "You are broken." "I heard your bones crack," Maya smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that made smart people step backward. "You heard something crack, but I am still here." In the royal box, Dr. Zephyrim checked his instruments frantically. The readings made no sense. According to his scans, Maya should be dying. Her heart rate was impossible. Her brain activity showed patterns he had never seen before. And something was happening to her blood chemistry that his machines could not explain. "What is she doing?" Emperor Vexinash asked. For the first time since Maya had arrived, he sounded worried. "I do not know," the doctor admitted. "This is not in any of my research about humans. They are supposed to be weak. They are supposed to break easily." Down in the arena, Maya began to move. But she did not move like someone who was hurt. She moved like water flowing around rocks, like wind through trees. Her injured arm hung at her side, but the rest of her body moved with a grace that seemed impossible. Kethver attacked first, just as he had before. His warhammer came down in a crushing blow. But Maya was not where the hammer landed. She was already moving, already 3 steps to the left, already inside his reach. Her right hand still held one sword. She drove it between the scales on Kethver's arm, finding the soft flesh underneath. The big alien roared in pain and anger. He swung his curved blade at her head, but Maya ducked under it and struck again with her sword, this time at his knee. The crowd began to murmur in confusion. This was not how fights were supposed to go. The human was badly hurt. She should be slow and clumsy. Instead, she seemed faster than before. Kethver tried to catch her with his net, but Maya slipped away from it like smoke. She moved behind him, and her sword found another gap in his scales. Then another. Each cut was small, but they added up quickly. "Stand still and fight me properly," Kethver demanded. He was breathing hard now. Fighting Maya was like trying to catch shadows. "No," Maya said simply. Her voice was calm, but her eyes still burned with that strange fire. "You wanted to fight an animal. Now you get to see what animals do when they are hurt." She moved faster now. Her sword cut Kethver's leg, then his side, then his other arm. None of the wounds were deep enough to kill, but each one hurt and made him slower. Blood began to drip from a dozen small cuts. The crowd was no longer cheering. They watched in growing silence as their champion began to struggle against the small human. Some aliens in the stands began to shift nervously in their seats. Dr. Zephyrim was writing notes as fast as he could. "This is incredible," he told the Emperor. "She is using pain as fuel somehow. The more hurt she becomes, the more dangerous she gets. I have never seen anything like this." "Make it stop," the Emperor said quietly. "Sir?" I said, "Make it stop. Call the guards. End this fight." But down in the arena, things were getting worse for Kethver. Maya had figured out how his 4 arms worked together. She stayed close to his body where his longer weapons could not reach her easily. When he tried to grab her with his hands, she was already moving to his blind spots. Kethver's mace swung in empty air. His warhammer smashed the ground again and again, but never came close to hitting Maya. His curved sword cut nothing but shadows. And all the while, Maya's single sword found its mark over and over. "What are you?" Kethver gasped. Green blood covered his scales now. His movements were becoming slow and clumsy. "I am human," Maya said. She sounded almost sad. "And you hurt me in front of my family." Kethver did not understand what she meant. The crowd did not understand either. But Maya's words were not meant for them. High above the arena, invisible to everyone watching, a small device attached to Maya's skull was recording everything. It had been recording since the day she was captured. Every fight, every beating, every moment of pain and fear. And now it was broadcasting all of that across space to anyone who might be listening. The device was standard equipment for all human deep space workers. It was supposed to help rescue teams find lost people. Maya had hoped someone would hear her signal and send help. But help was very far away, and she had learned not to count on rescue. Instead, she had learned to rescue herself. Kethver fell to his knees. Too much blood had leaked from too many wounds. His 4 arms could barely hold his weapons anymore. The crowd was completely silent now, watching their champion lose to someone they had thought was weak. Maya walked over to where Kethver had dropped his warhammer. She could barely lift it with her good arm, but she managed to drag it across. The arena floor. The sound it made was like metal screaming. "Please," Kethver said. "I yield. The fight is over." Maya looked at him for a long moment. Then she looked up at the crowd. 200,000 aliens stared back at her with fear in their eyes. They were starting to understand that they had made a mistake. "The fight is over when I say it is over," Maya said. Her voice carried clearly through the silent arena. "Just like it was over when you said it was over." She raised the warhammer above her head. It took all her strength, but she lifted it high enough. Kethver closed his eyes and waited for death, but Maya did not bring the hammer down on his head. Instead, she threw it as hard as she could at the arena wall. The hammer hit the metal with a sound like thunder and left a huge dent. Pieces of the wall fell to the ground. "I am not like you," she told Kethver. "I do not kill for fun." The crowd began to breathe again. Some aliens even started to stand up, thinking the show was over. But Maya was not finished. She walked to the edge of the arena and looked up at the walls that separated the fighting pit from the stands. They were high and smooth, designed to keep fighters in and spectators safe. No creature had ever climbed out of the arena before. Maya began to climb. Her injured arm made it hard, but she found handholds in the metal. Her fingers gripped tiny cracks and her feet found small ledges. Slowly, steadily, she pulled herself up toward the crowd. The aliens in the lower seats began to panic. They pushed backward, trying to get away from the climbing human. But there was nowhere to go. The stands were packed with people. "Guards!" Emperor Vexenas shouted. "Stop her!" 20 Chronari guards ran into the arena. They carried weapons that shot bolts of energy designed to stun dangerous animals. But Maya was already halfway up the wall, and her eyes were still burning with that terrible fire. When she looked down at the guards, they hesitated. Something about her gaze made them afraid to shoot. "This is not over," Maya called out to the crowd. Her voice reached every corner of the arena. "This will never be over. You took me from my home. You made me fight for your entertainment. You hurt me for fun." She climbed higher. The guards finally started shooting, but Maya was moving too fast and the angle was bad. The energy bolts missed her and hit the arena wall instead. "But I am not alone," Maya continued. "Humans do not abandon their family. And when they find out what you did to me, they will come for you." She reached the top of the wall. Aliens scrambled away from her, falling over each other in their panic. Maya stood on the edge and looked out over the terrified crowd. "They will come," she said again. "And when they do, you will wish you had killed me today." The guards finally got a clear shot. 20 energy bolts hit Maya at the same time. Her body went rigid and she fell backward into the arena. This time, she did not get up, but her words echoed through the silent stadium long after the guards dragged her unconscious body away. And somewhere in deep space, her signal continued to broadcast across the darkness, carrying her pain and her promise to anyone who might be listening. Someone was listening. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking coffee in his small cabin when the alarm started screaming. The sound cut through the quiet hum of the ship's engines like a knife. Jake dropped his cup and ran to the bridge of the UE's Retribution. "What is it?" he asked as he slid into his captain's chair. Commander Beth Carter looked up from her console. Her face was pale. "We got a distress signal, Captain. It's been broadcasting for 3 months, but we just entered range to receive it clearly." 3 months? Why are we just hearing it now? "Because it's coming from 2 star systems away." And Beth's voice got quiet. "It's from Maya Rodriguez." Jake felt his stomach drop. Maya had been part of their exploration team until 6 months ago. Her ship had disappeared during a routine survey mission near the edge of known space. They had searched for weeks but found nothing. Everyone assumed her ship had suffered some kind of accident. "Play it," Jake said. The bridge speakers crackled. To life. Maya's voice came through, but it was different from how Jake remembered. She sounded tired and scared. This is Maya Rodriguez, UE's survey ship Wanderer. I have been captured by aliens calling themselves the Krovari Empire. They are forcing me to fight in some kind of arena for their entertainment. I am hurt. I need help. Please, if anyone receives this, tell my family I am alive. The message. Repeated several times, but then it changed. The new recordings were worse. Maya's voice became weaker. She talked about being beaten between fights, about aliens who laughed at her pain, about being treated like an animal in a zoo. The most recent message was from just hours ago. Maya sounded different again, angry, dangerous. They made me kill someone today, a creature that did not want to fight any more than I did. But they forced us to hurt each other while they cheered. I cannot do this much longer. If no one comes for me, I am going to do something terrible. I can feel it building inside me. Please, someone help me before I become something I do not want to be. The bridge was silent when the message ended. Jake looked around at his crew. He saw the same expression on every face, anger, and something else. Something that made his chest feel tight. How far away is she? He asked. 2 days at maximum speed, said Chief Engineer Ryan Burke. But Captain, we're talking about an entire alien empire. We have no idea how many ships they have or what kind of weapons. We're 37 people on an exploration vessel, added Dr. Lisa Park. Our ship has sensors and research equipment, not weapons. What can we possibly do against a whole empire? Jake stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. He looked out at the stars through the main view screen. Somewhere out there, one of his people was being tortured for alien entertainment. She's family, he said simply. Commander Carter nodded. What are your orders, Captain? Jake turned back to his crew. We're going to get her back. Sir, Ryan said carefully, this could be a suicide mission. We don't know anything about these aliens except that they're strong enough to capture Maya and keep her prisoner for 3 months. I know, Jake replied. Anyone who wants to transfer to another ship when we reach the next station can do so. No questions asked, no marks on your record, but I'm going after Maya. He looked at each member of his bridge crew. All in favor of a rescue mission? Every hand went up immediately. All opposed? No hands. Jake smiled grimly. Then let's get to work. Beth, I want you to study every second of Maya's transmissions. Look for details about the aliens, their technology, their weaknesses. Anything that might help us. Yes, sir. Ryan, start modifying our systems. I want shields, weapons, anything you can build from what we have on board. We're going to war. Understood, Captain. Lisa, I want you to analyze the alien biology from Maya's recordings. How do they move? What might hurt them? What advantages do we have? I'll start immediately. Within hours, the Retribution had changed course and was heading toward Crota space at maximum speed. The ship that had been quietly mapping star systems was now preparing for combat. Beth Carter worked through the night, watching Maya's transmissions over and over. She learned that the Kronari were tall and strong, with blue or green skin and enhanced senses. They seemed to rely heavily on technology and had never encountered humans before Maya arrived. More importantly, she noticed something else. The aliens were arrogant. They treated Maya like a curiosity, not a threat. They did not seem to consider that other humans might come looking for her. They have no idea what they're dealing with, she told Jake during their morning briefing. Maya's been transmitting detailed scans of their technology every time they move her through their facilities. We have complete blueprints of their arena, their ships, their weapon systems. How detailed? Ryan asked. Detailed enough to know exactly how to shut them down, Beth replied. Maya's implant has been recording everything. Security codes, system vulnerabilities, personnel schedules. It's like having a spy inside their operation, Ryan grinned. Then they made a big mistake keeping her alive this long. Dr. Park had been studying the biological data. The good news is that humans have several advantages, she reported. We're smaller and faster. Our bone density is higher than theirs, so we're harder to break, and we handle pain better. What about the bad news? Jake asked. They're stronger than us by a significant margin. Their reaction times are faster, and they have better eyesight in low light conditions. So we need to be smarter, not stronger, Jake concluded. Exactly. The crew worked around the clock as the Retribution raced through space. Ryan and his engineering team turned their peaceful exploration ship into something dangerous. They built weapons from mining equipment, created armor from hull plating, and modified the ship's systems for combat. Marine Sergeant Alex Stone had the hardest job. He had to turn 37 scientists and explorers into a fighting force. Most of them had never held a weapon before Maya's capture. Now they were training for close combat against aliens who had never lost a fight. Remember, Alex told them during training, we're not trying to win a fair fight. Fair fights are for sports. This is about bringing Maya home. We use every advantage we have. We hit hard, we hit fast, and we don't give them time to think. As they got closer to Chronari space, Jake began to feel the weight of what they were attempting. 37 humans against an entire galactic empire. The odds were impossible, but then he would think about Maya's voice in those transmissions, the fear, the pain, the slow transformation from scared scientist to something harder and more dangerous. She was changing because of what they were doing to her, and if they did not reach her soon, she might become something that could never come home. Captain, Beth called from her station. We're receiving a new transmission from Maya. Put it on speakers. This time, Maya's voice was different again. Colder, more controlled. This is Maya Rodriguez. I won my fight today, but it was not really a win. They are changing me into something I do not want to be. I can feel human thoughts leaving my mind and being replaced by animal instincts. If my people receive this message, do not try to rescue me. I am becoming dangerous. Instead, remember me as I was. The transmission cut off abruptly. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. Then Jake stood up and walked to the communications console. He opened a channel on the same frequency Maya had been using. Maya Rodriguez, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the UES Retribution. We are 2 hours away from your position. You are not an animal. You are not dangerous. You are human, and humans do not abandon their family. Hold on. We are coming. He closed the channel and turned to his crew. Red alert. All hands to battle stations. It's time to show these aliens what happens when they hurt one of our own. The Retribution dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Chronari system. Ahead of them lay the heavily defended homeworld of an empire that had never known defeat. Jake opened a channel to broadcast on all Chronari frequencies. This is Captain Jake Morrison, representing the human race. You are holding Maya Rodriguez prisoner. Return her to us immediately, unharmed, or face the consequences. The reply came quickly. It was full of laughter and threats. The aliens found it amusing that 37 humans in a single small ship thought they could make demands. Jake smiled as he closed the channel. They think we're funny, he told his crew. Let's see if they're still laughing tomorrow. The Retribution began its approach to the planet where Maya was being held prisoner. It was time to teach the Chronari Empire that humans were not as helpless as they appeared. The Retribution moved through space like a ghost. Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display as his ship approached the outer defense ring around Vexthal. The Chronari had built their defenses to stop massive invasion fleets, not a single small exploration vessel that knew exactly where their weak spots were. First target is the sensor station on the far side of the moon. Commander Beth Carter said quietly. Maya's transmissions show they rotate their security codes every 4 hours. We have the current codes. How long until they change again? Jake asked. 37 minutes. Then we better be fast. Ryan, are you ready? Chief Engineer Ryan Burke nodded from his console. The virus is loaded and ready to deploy. Once I transmit it into their network, their sensor station will think we're one of their patrol ships. Dr. Lisa Park had been studying the alien psychology for days. Remember, the Chronari have never been attacked before. Their entire empire has never lost a major battle. They will not expect us to actually succeed at anything. Marine Sergeant Alex Stone checked his weapons one more time. My team is ready for boarding action, Captain. We've studied the layout of their facilities from Maya's recordings. We know exactly where to go. Jake looked around at his crew. 37 humans who had volunteered for what everyone knew was probably a suicide mission. Scientists and engineers who had transformed themselves into soldiers in just 2 days. The plan is simple, Jake said. We disable their defenses quietly. We find Maya. We get out before they realize what happened. No unnecessary killing, no destruction unless we need it. We're here to rescue our people, not start a war. What if they try to stop us? Alex asked. Jake's expression became hard. Then we show them why that's a bad idea. The first phase began exactly as planned. The Retribution approached the sensor station broadcasting Chronari identification codes. The alien guards did not even look twice at what appeared to be a routine patrol ship. Ryan Burke uploaded his virus into the station's computer network. Within minutes, the virus had spread through their entire communication system. To the Chronari, their sensors showed normal space traffic. They could not see the human ship anymore. Phase 1 complete, Beth reported. We're invisible to their detection grid. Next target, Jake said, that the orbital defense platforms were next. Massive weapons designed to destroy entire fleets hung in space around the planet like metal moons. But Maya's recordings had shown their weakness. The platforms were controlled by a central computer system that the Chronari considered impossible to hack. They had never met humans before. Lisa Park had discovered something interesting about Chronari psychology. They built their technology to be perfect and unbreakable. This made them very confident, but it also made them predictable. They never considered that someone might approach their systems from a completely different angle. Ryan's second virus was different from the first. Instead of hiding the human ship, it made the defense platforms think they were under attack by phantom enemies. The massive weapons began turning and firing at empty space, trying to destroy threats that did not exist. The orbital defenses are chasing ghosts, Ryan reported with satisfaction. They'll be shooting at shadows for hours. Jake smiled grimly. Time for Phase 2. The Retribution descended toward the planet's surface, still invisible to Chronari. Sensors. Below them, the great city that housed the arena stretched across the landscape like a metal forest. Millions of aliens lived and worked in the towers and domes, never imagining that death was falling toward them from the sky. But death was not what the humans brought. They brought something worse. They brought the knowledge that the Chronari Empire was not as strong as it pretended to be. The ship landed in a maintenance area near the arena complex. According to Maya's transmissions, this section was only guarded by automated systems that Ryan's viruses had already compromised. Where? Down, Jake announced. Alex, take your team and secure the landing zone. Beth, you're with me. We're going to find Maya. Alex Stone led 12 humans out of the ship. They moved like shadows through the Chronari facility, using Maya's detailed intelligence to avoid guards and security cameras. The aliens had built their prison to keep people in, not to keep determined rescuers out. Meanwhile, Jake and Beth made their way toward the medical facility where Maya was being held. They had studied the building layout from her recordings until they could walk through it blindfolded. Every hallway, every door, every guard station was exactly where they expected it to be. The Chronari had made one critical mistake, they thought. Maya was just a prisoner. They did not realize she was also a spy, recording everything and transmitting it to people who would use that information to destroy them. "Guards ahead," Beth whispered as they approached the medical wing. Jake checked. His weapon. It was built from mining equipment, but Ryan had modified it to fire concentrated energy bolts. "How many?" "6. They're not expecting trouble." They were right. The Chronari guards were talking and laughing, paying no attention to their surroundings. Why would they? No one had ever successfully attacked a Chronari facility before. No one was foolish enough to try. Jake and Beth attacked from 2 directions at once. The guards never had a chance to raise an alarm. The humans used weapons that fired bolts designed to stun, not kill. Within 30 seconds, all 6 guards were unconscious on the floor. "Maya should be in the next room," Beth said, checking her data pad. They found her connected to alien medical equipment, unconscious but alive. Her injuries from the arena fight had been treated, but she looked thin and tired. Even in sleep, her face showed the strain of 3 months of captivity. "Maya," Jake said softly, shaking her shoulder. "Time to go home." Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment, she looked confused. Then she saw Jake's face and tears began to run down her cheeks. "You came," she whispered. "Of course we came," Jake replied. "Your family." Beth was already disconnecting. "The medical equipment. Can you walk?" Maya sat up carefully. "I think so." "How many of you are there?" 37, Jake said. Maya stared at him. 37? Against the entire Chronari Empire? "It's enough," Jake said simply. As they helped Maya to her feet, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. Red lights flashed and alien voices echoed through the hallways. "They found us," Beth said. Jake activated his communicator. "Alex, report." "We've got company, Captain," Alex's voice crackled back. "Looks like they figured out something was wrong. Chronari military units are surrounding the complex." "How many?" "A lot. Vehicles, aircraft, ground troops. The whole planet seems to be waking up." Jake looked at Maya. She was standing on her own now, and some of the fire had returned to her eyes. "Can you fight?" he asked. Maya smiled. It was not a nice smile. "After 3 months in their arena, I can fight." "Then let's show them what humans do when they're angry." The battle for the arena complex began with the Chronari doing exactly what Jake had expected. They surrounded the building with overwhelming force and demanded surrender. Hundreds of soldiers, dozens of vehicles, aircraft circling overhead. It was the standard Chronari response to any threat, but Jake Morrison had not come to Vexthul to fight a standard battle. "Ryan," he said into his communicator, "Phase 3. Back at the landing site, Ryan Burke smiled as he activated the final part of their plan. For 2 days, while the Retribution had traveled through space, he had been preparing a special surprise. For the Chronari, every virus they had uploaded into the alien computer systems had been carrying hidden code. Code that had spread silently through the entire planetary network while the Chronari focused on the obvious threats. Now that code activated all at once, traffic control systems throughout the capital city suddenly malfunctioned. Flying vehicles crashed into buildings or each other. Ground traffic ground to a halt as signals changed randomly. Public transportation systems shut down completely. Power grids began cycling on and off in patterns that spelled out human words in the alien language. Water treatment plants started producing colored water. Communication networks broadcast human music instead of emergency announcements. Weather control systems created localized storms that wrote messages in the sky above the city. The words were simple but clear. "Give her back." The psychological impact was devastating. In less than 1 hour, 37 humans had taken control of the most heavily defended planet in the Chronari Empire. They had not destroyed anything important. They had not killed anyone. But they had proven that distance, technology, and numbers meant nothing when humans were motivated to protect their own. Emperor Vexinash watched from his palace as his capital city descended into chaos. Nothing worked anymore. His military could not communicate properly. His vehicles could not move. His weapon systems fired at empty air while the real threat walked freely through his most secure facility. How? He asked Dr. Zephyrim. How is this possible? The scientist had no answer. His research on humans had told him they were weak and primitive. But somehow, these weak primitives had defeated his entire empire without firing a shot. Perhaps, the doctor said quietly, we underestimated them. In the arena complex, Jake Morrison and his team made their way toward the exit with Maya between them. They moved carefully but confidently. The Chronari soldiers surrounding the building were too busy dealing with the chaos in the city to mount an effective attack. The Chronari soldiers did not move as Jake Morrison and his team walked out of the arena complex. They stood frozen, watching the small group of humans carry their rescued friend toward their ship. The aliens held their weapons but did not raise them. Something had changed in the last hour, and even the lowest soldier could feel it. Maya Rodriguez walked between her rescuers with her head held high. 3 months of captivity had changed her, but she was still human. Still part of the pack that had come to bring her home. As they passed the alien soldiers, she looked each one in the eye. None of them looked back. They are afraid, she said quietly to Jake. Good, he replied. They should be. Commander Beth Carter spoke into her communicator as they walked. Ryan, are we clear for departure? The landing zone is secure, came the reply. But Captain, you need to see something. The entire Chronari fleet is moving toward our position. Jake looked up at the sky. Even without enhanced vision, he could see the dark shapes of alien warships descending through the atmosphere. Dozens of them, each one large enough to destroy a city. How long until they reach us? He asked. 20 minutes, maybe less. Maya laughed. It was a sound that made the nearby Chronari soldiers step backward. They still think this is about fighting. What do you mean? Beth asked. They think if they bring enough ships and enough weapons, they can still win, Maya explained. They do not understand that we already won the moment we proved we could reach them. The group reached the retribution without interference. The Chronari military had surrounded the ship, but they kept their distance. None of them wanted to be the first to attack the humans who had just brought their entire empire to its knees. As they boarded the ship, Jake received a communication from Emperor Vexinash himself. The alien ruler appeared on the main screen, his blue skin pale with rage and fear. Human captain, the Emperor said, you will surrender immediately. You are surrounded by the full power of the Chronari Empire. Resistance is useless. Jake looked at the Emperor for a long moment. Then he smiled. Your Majesty, with respect, I think you misunderstood the situation. We are not your prisoners. You are ours. What do you mean? I mean that in the last 3 hours, 37. Humans have completely disabled your homeworld, bypassed your defenses, and proven that your empire is not as strong as you thought. And we did it all without killing a single person. The Emperor's expression grew angry. You dare threaten the Chronari Empire? No, Jake said calmly. We do not threaten, we promise. And here is our promise. Leave humans alone, and we will leave you alone. But if you ever harm one of us again, we will not send 37 people next time. We will send 37,000. Or 37 million. However many it takes. Maya stepped into view of the screen. The Emperor recognized her immediately, and his anger turned to something that looked like fear. Hello again, Your Majesty, Maya said. Thank you for the hospitality. I learned so much during my stay. About your technology, your weaknesses, your fears. I will be sure to share everything with my people when we get home. You cannot leave, the Emperor said desperately. My fleet will stop you. Jake turned to Ryan Burke. Show him. On every screen throughout the Chronari fleet, technical readouts appeared. Detailed specifications of their own ships. Engine designs, weapon systems, shield frequencies, computer access codes. Everything the humans would need to disable or destroy. Every vessel in space. This is impossible, the Emperor whispered. How do you know our secrets? Maya tapped the small device attached to her skull. I told you I learned a lot during my visit. Your people were very educational. Every time they moved me through your facilities, every time they connected me to your medical equipment, every time they forced me to fight in your arena, my implant was recording, learning, transmitting. For 3 months, you gave me a complete education in Chronari technology, she continued. Now my people know everything about you. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your capabilities, your limitations. We know you better than you know yourselves. The Emperor looked around desperately, as if seeking help from someone off-screen. What do you want? We want to go home, Jake said simply. And we want to never see you again. Can you arrange that? Yes. The Emperor said quickly. Yes, you may leave. The Chronari Empire will not interfere. And you will never bother humans again? Never. We will avoid human space completely, Jake nodded. Then we have an understanding. The Retribution lifted off from the Chronari homeworld without interference. The massive alien fleet that had been moving to intercept them suddenly changed course, giving the small human ship a wide path to open space. As they cleared the atmosphere. Dr. Lisa Park activated the ship's long-range communications array. Jake, we're getting messages from Earth, lots of them. What kind of messages? Requests for information about what happened here. The Chronari Empire just sent a formal communication to Earth's government. They want to establish diplomatic relations immediately. Maya sat in the co-pilot's chair, looking out at the stars. They are terrified, she said with satisfaction. They know that if 37 humans can do this much damage, they do not want to find out what 37 million humans could do. Jake opened a channel to Earth. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the U.S. Retribution. Maya Rodriguez has been recovered and is safe. We are returning home. The reply came from Admiral Sarah Thompson, head of Earth's Deep Space Command. Captain Morrison, please explain how 37 people just forced an entire galactic empire to surrender. Jake looked around at his crew. Scientists and engineers who had become soldiers when one of their own needed help. People who had risked everything because family was more important than safety. We showed them what humans do when someone hurts our pack, Admiral, he said. And apparently that was enough. The journey home took 2 weeks. During that time, the Chronari Empire made good on their promises. They withdrew from 3 star systems that bordered human space. They sent detailed maps of their territory with clear markings showing which areas humans should avoid. They even offered to pay compensation for Maya's suffering. But the most important thing they did was spread the word. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations received the same message from the Chronari. It was simple and direct. Humans look small and weak, but they are the most dangerous species anyone has ever encountered. They do not fight for conquest or resources. They fight for each other. And when they fight for each other, they do not stop until they win. Maya spent most of the trip home in the medical bay, recovering from her injuries. But she also spent time in the ship's computer core, working with Ryan to analyze everything her implant had recorded. We know more about galactic technology now than any human in history, she told Jake one day. The Chronari were not the only species in that arena. I saw representatives from dozens of different civilizations. My implant recorded all of them. What does that mean for us? It means that when we finally make official contact with the galaxy, we will not be going in blind. We will know who our friends are and who our enemies might be. We will know their capabilities and their limitations. Jake nodded, and they will know ours. Some of them, Maya agreed. But not all. The Chronari learned that we are dangerous when threatened, but they still do not know how creative we can be when we are just curious. The Retribution entered Earth's solar system to find a celebration waiting for them. Every ship in the system had come to escort them home. The story of their mission had spread throughout human space, and Maya Rodriguez had become something of a legend. But Maya did not want to be a legend. She wanted to be a diplomat. The galaxy is going to change because of what we did, she told the debriefing committee on Earth. Other species are going to approach humans differently now. Some will be afraid. Some will be curious. Some will want to be our allies. And some will want to test us, Admiral Thompson added. Yes, Maya agreed. But they will think twice before they try, because now they know that humans do not abandon their family, no matter how far away they are, no matter how impossible the odds, no matter what it costs. 5 years later, Maya Rodriguez became Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council. The Chronari Empire sponsored her application personally, stating in their official recommendation that humans had demonstrated the highest qualities of civilization, loyalty, courage, and the wisdom to use power responsibly. The arena where Maya had fought was converted into a museum. The centerpiece of the exhibit was a simple plaque, with her final words before the rescue: "Humans do not abandon their family." Visitors from across the galaxy came to read those words and understand what they meant. They learned that humans were not the strongest species or the smartest or the most advanced, but they were the most dangerous when someone they loved was in trouble. And that lesson spread throughout the stars, carried by species who wanted to be humanity's friend rather than their enemy. Because everyone understood the simple truth that Maya Rodriguez had taught the galaxy: when humans hunt, they do not stop until they bring their family home. The story became a warning told by parents to children on 1,000 different worlds. It reminded them that the universe was full of creatures who looked small and harmless, but were actually capable of terrible things when pushed too far.